Hello, everybody. My name is Miguel, founder of Grumo Media, and today we have Lenny from Pub Chase. We did a video for them a few months ago, and you can check it out on our website. And in this series, what I want to do, I call it the Grumo Startup Series. I want to interview some of our clients to find a little bit about their story, because it turns out that at Grumo, we work with so many interesting people around the whole world, and we never get to really hear the full story. So this is an opportunity for us to get back to our clients and learning more about their stories, and hopefully you, if you're an entrepreneur, learning some valuable lessons when you decide to do your own startup. So anyways, welcome Lenny. How are you doing?
Terrific.
He's fantastic. Where are you at right now?
Berkeley, California.
Berkeley, California. Okay, so I'm in Vancouver, Canada. So let's get to the meat of the video. We did a video for you for a startup called Pub Chase. So what is Pub Chase? For a product called Pub
The
Chase.
startup is Zappylab.
Zappylab. Okay. So what is Pub Chase?
It's a personalized biomedical literature recommendation, sort of like a Netflix that recommends movies for you. We recommend papers to scientists that are newly published based on what they're reading already.
All right. Okay.
So because there's 100,000 that are published in biomedicine, and there's no way for you as a scientist to know what's important to you, what you should be reading. So it's a free service that we provide, and the most important part to point out, not my idea. Most of the cool things that Zappylab built, not my idea. I give talks on them and I go around universities, but this is built, the idea is from Matt Davis, who was a student in Berkeley and is now a postdoctoral researcher in Heidelberg.
Yes.
So entirely his idea to give personalized recommendations.
All right, so what is your role then? You just are the like the spokesman of the company, or what is your role in
So Pub Chase we built as a Trojan horse. It's a very evil corporate plot. It's a free tool that we give to scientists because we want them as users for something else. And that something else is a central resource for sharing discoveries and knowledge, because Zappylab was created and exists exactly to completely restructure the way scientists communicate and share their discoveries, because most of important discoveries are actually never published. They're never shared. They just sit on the scientist's desk in her journal and no one ever finds out about them. So Zappylab exists to create a sort of Wikipedia or GitHub of scientific methods, so that scientists, when they make discoveries that are not big enough to publish a whole story in an academic journal, can tap a button on their phone using our app and share that discovery with everybody else who needs to know about it.
I think it's a wonderful idea, because there's 7 billion minds in the world, and it's so likely that 2 different people are working on the same problem. And
20. In science, in biomedicine, 20 different people.
Yeah.
Guaranteed working on the same thing, and they don't know about
it. And they're doing repeat work, and if they were able to put all their minds together instead of like redoing the wheel every single time, science would advance a lot faster, right? So it seems that we should have this
magnitude.
That right now, with the technology that we have available, this has to happen. And it's awesome that you're doing it.
Wait, can you be our spokesman? Wait, you already are. That's why you made the video.
Well, in a sense, I've been your spokesman because we did your video, right? So our video is spoken on behalf of Pub Chase all the time. But yeah, I really like what you guys are doing.
So the Zappylab is to create that resource, but if you want to do crowdsourcing of scientific discoveries, you need the crowd.
Yeah.
You can create the most beautiful website. If nobody is there, it's a desert and you failed. So we've been building tools like Pub Chase, like our free mobile tools for scientists to help them with research. Everything we create is free for the scientists. So don't worry, we're not crazy communists. There is a business model with the startup. But Pub Chase was a free tool to build a community, to get users, so we can create the central resource to share the information and connect the people who are working on the same thing.
All right. Well, if you're listening to this and if you're a scientist, you know what to do next. Check PopChase Zappylab and start sharing those ideas so we can advance this world a lot faster. Now let's get a little bit into well, how do you validate your idea? Because this is a problem that everybody has when they come up with an idea, and it's like, well, maybe it's a great idea or maybe not, but unless you validate it, you may be working for no reason. So, what was your steps to like validate the idea?
So with everything that we do, of course, you have to believe in the idea, and if you're starting a startup, you do. But many of the ideas we had were shitty. Many of the ideas improved and were completely restructured the way we envisioned them in the beginning and the way we actually delivered them in the end because of advice, beta testing, scientist consultants. So you have to get whatever your product is, whatever the audience, the target, get those people, talk to them before you've built it, before you wrote a single line of code, before you registered the domain. Talk to your friends. Talk to people and ask them, will you use it? What would you like to see there? So now that we are a company, before we start building anything, we might spend 6-9 months talking to scientists and saying, how do you do this? What would help you? What should it really be like at top universities? The first year of our startup, I had no salary from it. I was doing postdoc research by day and Zappylab by night.
Yeah.
But we were already paying scientist consultants, our friends, to help us with the creative part, with validating the idea, and beta testers, absolutely essential.
Oh, okay. That's great. Great advice. Another thing I noticed is that you did a Kickstarter campaign. Do you think that's also a good way of validating, seeing if people are willing to put their money where their, their support is?
Terrible.
Really?
Idea. I love Kickstarter. It was really smart that we did it.
Yeah.
It gave us money. It gave us visibility.
Yeah.
There is a point in time where it's good to do a Kickstarter campaign. If you do it to validate your idea, your Kickstarter will fail. So what you quickly realize, and Kickstarter, by the way, is a genius company. I wish I had started Kickstarter and not Zappylab.
Yeah.
Because the hardest thing for Zappylab is to get users, right? I've already talked about it. We need the crowd.
Yeah.
The hardest thing, the biggest challenge is marketing, letting people know that you exist. That's why we came to Grumo and needed your video. That's why I had to quit my research and focus on this full time to let people know we exist. And a lot of us think that Kickstarter is a good way to let people know that you exist and possibly validate your idea.
Yes.
It's terrible. You work for Kickstarter. Kickstarter doesn't work for you. So we were in the top 1% of technology companies, right, by popularity, technology projects on Kickstarter.
Yes.
Which just means you're number 40 out of 4,000 projects.
Yes.
Kickstarter doesn't give you visibility. I spent the entire month, I was sleeping 3-4 hours a night, talking to everybody that I knew and bringing users to Kickstarter. So in a sense, the brilliance of Kickstarter is they have thousands of people working for them to do the user acquisition for Kickstarter.com. I'm bringing them new users. Whether the project succeeds or not,
okay,
I give them users. It's my job to recruit for them, right? So temporarily, I was working for Kickstarter.
Yes, yes.
We had a very successful campaign. It went viral, but keep in mind, we launched the campaign 2 years after the company got started, not to validate the idea.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
This is everything we've built. We already have thousands of people who love us and use us. We were able to reach out to them, our extensive network. So with all of this, you can pull off a Kickstarter campaign if you have a community and you have a huge network, but not in reverse.
Yeah, I think that's great advice because a lot of people think, okay, maybe I want to see if this idea could have some, outcome or possibility of success. Maybe I just put it on Kickstarter and raise 50 grand. You need some traction,
You'll have a failed Kickstarter campaign. It'll make it harder for you to raise money from angels or VCs because they will all see it. Oh, it failed. There's no validation. But the validation comes long after you've raised the money, have built a prototype. If you look at successful Kickstarter campaigns, they can prove to the people we can deliver on this, right? What have you built? You're already a company. You have a prototype of a product. If you just have an idea, you put it on Kickstarter, people will say, that's nice, but I'm not
Yeah,
done.
and I think it's I didn't know that, but it makes sense. Is that uh, some people may think because you put it on Kickstarter, Kickstarter is going to do a lot of effort to bring traffic to your page, and it's not that
Kickstarter
way.
tells
It's the
you.
other way. You are the one that are going to have to do all the effort. They're just providing a platform that allows to collect donations or money from people a lot easier than if you have to ask people, hey, could you send me $5 to my PayPal account, right? But
And,
yeah,
and I have no regrets about the Kickstarter campaign. It
yeah.
was phenomenal. It was really good for us at this point in time.
Well,
It creates a structure.
you met your goal, right? In like a
Yes,
week ago, it
but it's a
seems.
lot of work,
Yeah,
and you already have to have a community.
yeah,
And we got 500, half a thousand people, most of them scientists, but that's part of our network. That's part of our user base. And yes, a lot of those people are my brother, my mother, all the friends, everyone on Facebook. So you do a lot of work. There are a lot of good reasons to do a Kickstarter campaign, but not because Kickstarter will work for you to give you visibility.
yeah.
So
That's a really good point. All right, so the next question was going to be, how did you fund your startup? So obviously part of it was through Kickstarter, but before Kickstarter, were you able to raise some money? What was what did you do?
we had a lot of crazy ideas. First thought, let's make it a nonprofit because this resource has to exist. We realized we probably wouldn't be able to get grants. We wanted to build an app that would go viral. Use that money to fund the company, but you can't do anything on the side, and nothing goes viral on its own.
Yeah,
So sorry about that.
yeah, no problem.
Nothing goes viral on its own. So we for 2 months we were thinking, how do we make it happen? I knew it has to exist. My friend is a CTO of another startup. I'm a scientist, and you realize it won't happen on the side. So I went to ex-bosses that I had that I knew and just said, do you want to invest in the idea?
Mm-hmm.
And we got angel funding. We raised 325,000 in angel investments.
Yeah.
For many, it's friends and family round. And I would say if you're thinking of a new startup, if your idea is really great, if you believe in it, if you're passionate about it, getting the initial money is probably easier than getting it 2 years later when you've already built it. Because in the beginning, when you're coming to the angels, they can't argue with you. If the idea is good, they can't say, oh, well, nobody will use it. It will take too long. It'll cost more. There is no data. You can make up any story and you can say, it will go like this. It'll happen like that. And it's so brilliant.
Yeah.
And quickly monetize it. And if they believe the story and they're excited, you'll get the angel investment. So the angel round in the beginning, the seed round, I think is...
Yeah, I think that makes sense because, I mean, if you're really good at selling an idea, which is something that is important for entrepreneurs to be, then you can, convince almost anybody that this is going to be huge. But once after 2 years, they'll ask you, okay, now there's data. Have you got any traction? Is this going somewhere? And then you cannot just come up with, with...
And it's the same, the similarity there when you're doing experiments where you're trying to make a discovery, you always have to tie it together into a story and you have to look at the data and the results at your hypotheses and tie them together and come up with the model. How does this work? You always want to come up with the model before you've done any work.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, you have a hypothesis and you say, I'll do these experiments, and after the first experiment, you come up with the model. You have no way to prove it, but that's the time to come up with the model because you have no data to prove that it's wrong. Once you do the work, once you do the real experiments, the results are messy, they're inconclusive, everything is conflicting. It becomes very hard to create a model and publish a story. The time to make a model is in the beginning. The time to create a story about your startup is before you've launched. Once you've already done it, then you have to talk about how many users, what's the revenue.
It's about hard data, not speculation anymore. Show me the facts, not the dream, right? So that's an interesting point. All right.
A great idea, you can get it funded.
All right, so let's. I'm going through the list of questions I asked you by email. So the next one that I have is, By the way, these questions, I just came up with them, but they're just quick questions for entrepreneurs that I think a lot of entrepreneurs will find useful, and a little bit of sharing the story, right? So in this question, I ask you, share one tough moment or challenge in your journey, and then how do you, were able to overcome it?
There is no one tough moment. Startup is a long series of tough moments. So be prepared for that. It's exhilarating. It's rewarding. It's the most exciting thing I've ever done in my life, and I really believe in what we're doing. So believe in what you're doing.
Okay.
But it's not one moment. I think maybe the hardest thing for us, for our particular startup, is the very first step, right? Committing to it. So quit the job that you have, plunging into the startup, that's hard. My friend was a CTO. He had a high salary. He has a family. So it's a huge risk to give up that salary and give up stable income to jump onto this. I was going to be a professor. So when I decided to leave academia and research to do this, I was giving up on a dream that I had for many years of teaching and doing research and having my own laboratory. And that is very scary, right? Because you've seen yourself as A and now you're doing B. So the initial plunge, committing to the startup, is the hardest, toughest, at least in our experience.
Yeah. It's a huge sacrifice to give up all of that, yeah.
After that, it's going to be hard and tough, but you've committed.
And you're expecting it to be hard, right? Yeah.
You have no options. You can't turn back. You can't say no. So after that, any problems that come your way, you solve them.
Yeah. And that is something that Paul Graham and many other successful entrepreneurs say, is like entrepreneurs that succeed are those ones that, they're relentlessly resourceful in that means that problems are going to happen. It's not that it's more about how are you going to solve them. They're going to happen, but what are you going to do to make sure that you can step over all those problems and solve them? All right, so now let's get into, was there a moment throughout the history of this building this app and this startup that was a breakthrough where you're like, damn, this is actually going to happen, or there was like a moment where you're like, this is awesome. This, things are going well.
Was there a moment where I said, this is going to happen?
Yeah, it's like a breakthrough that helped your startup. Like sometimes it could be the moment where you're like, maybe you raised the money that you really wanted, or maybe a famous scientist said, you gotta use PubChase.
That moment for us is luck of a phone call.
Yeah.
It's luck of having a friend, Alexei, who's the co-founder, who picked up the phone one day, called me and said, can we build an mobile app for biologists? And I just made fun of him. I said, this is silly. You'll never use a phone in the lab. But wait, you know what? This could be a really useful thing for me. And 3 weeks later, all I'm thinking about is that app and what we can do with it and how we could create a resource for sharing knowledge. So it's luck of that phone call. It's the idea, right? Getting that idea.
Well, that is true. People come up with an idea, but sometimes as an individual, you don't have enough resources or contact to make it happen. Having that network close to you that allows you to execute that idea, that's actually a lot of luck.
When people ask me, how do you build a startup? What do you need? How do you prepare for it? I've given talks at Berkeley and other places on this to students. And the best advice is talk to people who are different from you with different skills, different ideas, because especially scientists, we tend to just talk to scientists. We're in the lab all the time. Your classmates, your friends are scientists. That's not a way to make a startup. You're all thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
For something like this, like Zappylab to happen, I know science. You need to have a partner. You need to have that spark and the matching of different skills, right? So that's the real luck in Zappylab, just the collision of partners.
Yeah. No, that's true. All right, so now, one piece of advice for upcoming entrepreneurs.
Fall in love with your partner long before you start the startup. And I mean, I'm not, be really careful about the partner. And I'm not joking about this. So my partner is, I have a wife, I have 2 kids. My partner is male.
And you're in love with him.
Me, it has to be a spouse. It's probably bad, for many it would be a bad idea.
Yeah.
What I mean is realize that it is like a marriage. Lots of people have compared it to a marriage.
Yeah.
I personally think it's way harder than a marriage. Way harder.
Yeah.
So your partnership, you're not going on a honeymoon. You're not on picnics. You're not strolling around the park playing baby. We are in a basement, right? We're in a basement, stuck together. And the reason to have a partner is to argue and discuss ideas and debate. You're stressed. You're overwhelmed. You're sleep deprived. And you're constantly arguing about, should we do this or should we do that? How do we do it? The reason to have the partner is so that you can argue, so that you can refine and improve the ideas. But keep in mind, this is a marriage where you're arguing all the time and you don't get to have sex. You don't cuddle up in bed.
Yeah.
So the person you start the company with has to be someone you really love, you really can trust, right? 100%. And you can be in the room for 2 years in the basement, stressed, working, delivering, arguing, and still loving each other.
Yeah, I see where the luck factor comes in a lot, because finding that perfect potential co-founder, it's also, there's a lot of luck factor there.
There's luck in the world, right? In your life,
if you do, magical things can happen. But I've seen so many entrepreneurs struggling to find a co-founder. Actually, myself, before I did Grumo Media, I started this online project management website, and I never found a co-founder, and then I didn't have enough energy myself to go through all the pain. And having somebody that you can share tasks and ideas, it helps so much. Now in Grumo Media, I'm still the sole founder, but I have Dan, who worked on your video, and he's kind of like my partner, and he's great. I meet him once a week. We exchange ideas, and I really get along with Dan, and it has helped so much for me to be able to write the creation of this little animation studio. So very, very, very important piece of advice.
And there are occasionally people who can pull it off without a co-founder, without a partner. I think
it's possible.
It's possible, but it's so much harder because, as I said, it's a series of challenges, problems, and stress. And if you don't have somebody who can help you, that you can rely on each other, that you can motivate each other, cheer each other up, joke. It's not just about the arguing, right? But give each other the support and refine the ideas. It will be very hard.
So I have a question that maybe some other entrepreneurs may have, is that let's say that you both have a very strong opinion of how something should be done. And then you're like, okay, when do you decide, okay, let's do it your way and not my way? Is there some way where you decide who is going to have the last word? Or
no. There isn't. Not in our company.
Yeah.
In other companies, it may be. So for us, there is a little bit of, I don't argue. I'm a computational biologist. I was a math major before I switched to biology. So I know computers, but I won't be telling Alexei, these are the functions you need to use, and no, it has to be Python instead of PHP.
Yeah, exactly.
That's his domain. I'm a scientist, and I've spent 10 years doing the experiments, publishing papers, so I have to defer to him on the technical side. He often has to defer to me on the idea side, and this is what we should do, what we shouldn't, but it's an equal marriage.
Yeah.
It's very equal. It's not like one of us says, no, this is the way it is, I have that final vote, and it's good. And you also realize both of you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? No one really knows. And if an advisor comes in and tells you this is the only way to do it, they're full of shit. There are lots of ways to do it, and you will make mistakes in your startup. You will make lots of mistakes. Mm-hmm. The key for successful startup is, do you learn from the mistakes? And, is 70% of the stuff that you make a mistake and 30% is good? Or is it 50-50? That ratio is
You're gonna make mistakes regardless of what you
Ultimately,
do.
don't get hung up on, I have to win this argument because the other person might be right. And if it's a mistake, you'll quickly learn, figure it out, and adjust.
But I think a good point that you made there is that the reason why there may be not so many arguments is because you have complementary skills. So everybody knows what's their domain of expertise, and you respect each other's domains of expertise, which also brings the thing of that when your partners have to have complementary skills. If you bring somebody that is overlapping too much,
you'll just be arguing.
Then you're going to start because you're like, well, why are your opinion better than mine? But if he's a programmer and you're the marketing guy, it's two different worlds.
That's
you
right.
respect each other's opinions, and that's going to make your life a lot easier.
Completely agree.
All right. And now, so we got recommendations, like actual little recommendations for people to use in their startup, which is I call it startup tools and recommendations in terms of books and blogs and stuff like that, right? And you send me that list so I can post that. But maybe let's see if there's is there and let's do just the entrepreneurial role models. Two people that have really inspired you as an entrepreneur.
This is hard because I've spent 13 years inside a lab thinking about science and tubes and yeast cells. Not thought I'd have a startup.
So maybe maybe not in the startup world. Who has inspired you on the scientific world? We may know about him, but anyways, it'll be interesting to know.
There are a lot of really inspirational figures, but what really gets me excited, there are startup entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So I can't. There are a lot of really good startups, especially in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
There are a lot of really shitty ones. There are probably more shitty ones. That's why, that's the way the world works. But there are some amazing ones. And what gets me really excited are role models like there's a journal called PRJ, Pitt Beanfield. There's a startup called Science Exchange. This is from the science world.
So
okay. That's critical. Liz Yorns, CEO of Science Exchange. There are startups that I come across that I can see what their impact will be, right? They might succeed, they might not succeed. The execution, the chance, there's lots of luck in all of this. But when I come across startups that are really trying to make an impact, right? It's not just, I'll build a way to order jeans online or bras online. It's not just a derivative idea. It's not just there's a way to make money with this little feature.
Yeah.
It's a company that's thinking, and I don't want to. There's a lot of value to startups that create a little bit more of efficiency, right? But if you can really think of your startup as what will it transform in the world, how will it make the world better? If you can make money on it, right? You have to be able to make money. There has to be a really solid business model. But if you're doing the startup not just because you want to have a startup and not just because you want to make money, but you're doing it because you think the idea will transform the world and make it a better place, those are the role models. Those are the people in startups that get me really excited. Another example of it is Dan Whale from Hypothesis, which is it's a nonprofit. It's not exactly a for-profit startup, but they're trying to annotate the web. Science Exchange that I mentioned is trying to increase efficiency in research by connecting scientists who can do experiments for each other. And so these are things that if they succeed, right, they can benefit society. And those are the startups, the founders that are role models for me that really excite me.
Yeah, they're working on hard problems that may actually have a big impact in the world, as opposed to like, I have an idea, let's see how can I make money right away, and not thinking of the big picture, right? How is this going to benefit people? Is there really going to make a huge difference?
Who are you doing it for? Who will it benefit? Not just to you, what's the value to you as the founder? So to me, the role models are really the people who are thinking, what will it change? How will it make people's lives better? For Grumo, you're doing an invaluable thing for companies like us, right? You're helping us to explain what we've done. What's the service that your startup provides? Not just how can your startup make money, can you build it, can you be better? And I also tend to not get excited about 15 companies doing the same thing, and maybe we can do it a little bit faster.
Yeah.
The other ones, maybe, but certainly if you don't do it, one of the other 14 will. If it's really original, those are the role models that get me.
Somebody that is like, okay, I'm not doing it because everybody is doing it. I'm doing it because I believe in the idea, and I don't care if nobody else is doing it. I'm gonna do it.
That's right.
And maybe it's not a hot space right now. It's not a social network, or it's not the next Instagram or the next Twitter. You're just doing it because you really believe on it, right? So that's a good message to send to our entrepreneurs.
Those are the role models for me. Those are the people that get me inspired and really excited.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks a lot for that. And the next question, and we're almost getting to the end right here, is as an entrepreneur, well, and in life in general, time is such an important thing, and you never have enough of that. So what is one productivity hack that you use to make the most out of your time and not waste it?
The productivity hack, I think you do work a lot. So my partner, Alex, productivity hack is our students in an institute in Russia, Moscow Aviation Institute, that are helping us build everything because we're on a shoestring budget and we need iPhone, iOS, and Android engineers. So our productivity hack is the Russian students who are very enthusiastic, excited. We're teaching them and they're helping us. So that makes a lot of the tools that we've given scientists possible.
Yeah.
My productivity hack is very counterintuitive. It'll sound crazy. When you think 100-hour weeks, right? Don't sleep. Don't think of anything else. Just focus on the startup. I think that's a really bad idea. You will work a lot. You will have nights when you're up. But if you don't take time off, if you don't go on hikes, if you don't get out of that basement, if you don't play with your kids, or if you don't meet with friends and you don't get out of the office, your ideas won't be as good. You won't have real brainstorming. You won't have the rest, right? So my wife is constantly screaming at me for not sleeping enough, and I agree with her.
Yeah.
Your productivity hack is not to work nonstop. It's to take a hike. It's to go get out of the office. It's to get sleep.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
That's what will make you more productive, right? So you're thinking 100 hours. I'm saying aim for 40 instead of 100. You'll probably end up working 60 to 80. But don't think that the more you work, the better your product and the more efficient you are.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and I've experienced that myself. My previous startup, where I thought, okay, the more I work, the more I can accomplish, and then you realize that you're a human, and if you don't find a balance, if you just concentrate on work and you neglect socializing, feeding yourself, and sleeping, resting, and having fun, then it's going to affect everything in your life, and then you're not going to be able to be productive because your machine, your biological machine is not working.
We didn't develop for this. And in research, in my past life, when I was doing research, it's also the same thing. Scientists were always thinking, I can't get out of lab. I have to do one more experiment. I have to try it one more time. I can't go sleep. Whether it was then or whether it's on startups, some of the best ideas that I've had are not in the office, but are out hiking, climbing a mountain, camping, right? Going to a museum, or just talking to the people that I keep saying is essential. Talking to the users, talking to your friends, bouncing ideas around. You're thinking, how can I possibly go to that party? We didn't roll out the product last night as we're supposed to. You go to that party, you might have a suggestion from one of the friends at that party that's going to save your startup. So talk to people, take time off, recharge, refresh.
Yeah. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they feel guilty if they're not working 100 hours a day. It's like, it doesn't work that way. You're a human, so you need to get out. And actually, when you're there, that may help you when you go back to work. So great productivity advice there. And then related to Grumo Media, I ask you this. I don't know if I'll include this on the actual video, but anyways, I'll have it just in case I want to put it. How did you find Grumo Media?
How did I find Grumo Media? This will sound. I don't want to go over the top, and I don't want to make it sound like, oh, we talked with Miguel and he gave me $1,000 to say this. But I'm being very honest and serious when I say that making that video, and I've sent an email before to Dan thanking and describing the process and what it was like for me to create the Pop Chase video.
Yeah.
It was one of the most fun, amazing, creative experiences of the 2 years of the Zappylab startup.
That's great to hear.
It was, and getting, when you think you have explained on your blog why your videos cost so much.
Yeah.
I knew that it's expensive, but when you see the work that Grumo Media does for you, when you go back and forth revising the script, when you get the 300 voiceovers to select from, well, they prune it down to 5 for you. When you realize just how much work goes into it, it's a steal. They're charging you. It's a steal. It's a really good deal, but it's also, for me, the experience was it's just so creative, and it's amazing to see you guys work. You're masters at it. You're building a cartoon. I mean, not many of us get to work at Disney making a cartoon, and to have a front row seat in creating it is, if I was an artist and I could draw and make my own animation, maybe it wouldn't be as fun and amazing for me. But this particular experience, I loved it.
Well, I'm so happy to hear that you enjoyed it, because it is sometimes a lot of work and going back and forth and refining the script and finding the right words and then putting images to those words that make sense and making sure the whole thing actually works into a nice little package that is not too long, not too boring, that is actually doing the job. I think it's a great exercise for entrepreneurs, but it's good to hear it from your side. Yeah.
Well, and the other idea that just hit me, what I wanted to say is, it's not just fun and you get a demo video in the end, but Grumo forces you in creating the script. It's like giving a presentation on your research or pitching to an investor. Like giving a lab meeting or writing your paper with your results. It forces you to sit down and think, what is my company? What is the one thing, this is not a 1 hour talk we've built where you show every button and every cool thing. You have a minute of a video, you set up the problem and the solution, what you've created, right? And you have to really sit down, focus, and understand, what is my startup? What is this product? Why should somebody download it? Why should they sign up? Why are we a good company? And so it forces you to really crystallize what's the essence of the product, what you've created, what you've built. And this exercise alone is worth all the money, even if you don't get a video in the end. It's worth it because it prepares you for talking to investors, for talking to the users, and it makes it easier for you to... It even helps you with the product development, right? How do you present it? What features do you focus on? What do you put on the App Store in the description of your company? So it helped us in many ways beyond just, oh, it's a video that explains to people what you do. That's a benefit. That's, of course, why you do it.
Yeah.
There's so much more that this experience gives you.
Yeah. No, that's great to hear from you. And like I say, we've talked to so many entrepreneurs, and we find that even big corporations, you're like, you can see how they get so excited because maybe their daily jobs are not that interesting, and when they have the opportunity to work with a creative team, it's like they enjoy so much that, and then it actually helps them. If they're a marketing manager for a company, the whole process of coming up with compressing maybe a complex idea into like 90 seconds, it helps them tremendously on their own meetings, sales materials, everything. So that's awesome. And the last question here is, what have you done to promote your video? And the reason why I asked that is because we want to learn that it's the same as Kickstarter in a sense, right?
Exactly what I was going to say.
Is that we give you the video, but then the whole idea of the video is that people watch it. Now, you get a lot of value because throughout the process, you learn better how to communicate what your company does, but the whole idea of the video is that people watch it, right? And that's something that we don't offer at Grumo, at least not yet, which is helping you getting views to that video, like maybe a marketing campaign for the video. So what have you done to get some views to that Grumo video?
Yep. So obviously all of us are aware you'll post it on Facebook, on your company, on your personal account, on Twitter. But this is key. This is absolutely key, this question that you asked, because just because you've made a video, just like, you build your product, you build PopChase, you build your app, no one knows that you've built it. Yeah. So you go to Grumo and you say, can you give us a video? Grumo gives you a video. No one knows you have this video. It's not HBO. Yeah. It's not CBS that everyone tunes into on your landing page. So how do you make people watch it? Mm-hmm. This question. You have to be creative. There are no easy ways. It's marketing, right? And this is what I say. If you ask, what's the toughest thing about a tech startup? It's marketing what you've made. It's not the ideas. It's not building it. It's not getting the team. It's not getting the funding. It's marketing. Yeah. That is a real challenge. Grumo helps you with it, but you have to think of how to market the video. So one of the things we've done is we had a contest. The video is a lot of fun. Yeah. We worked with Dan, the creative director of Grumo. Yeah. We inserted, and he had this idea. I was explaining the science to him, and he inserted a Nobel Prize winner, very, very, very easy to recognize.
Recognizable, yeah.
And so I had a contest where I asked scientists to watch the video and identify the Nobel Prize winner in the video. Yeah. And if you identify correctly on which second and who it is, you get a t-shirt of PopChase. So have a contest, because the key is not just getting people to watch it. Grumo puts it up on their website, but the target is scientists. Yeah. If your target is doctors, if your target is women who are shopping for lipstick, you have to get it in front of
the right eyeballs.
Your audience. So you have to think, it comes back to marketing. You have to really think about how to reach the audience. And I think contests are a good way.
So you did a contest, and what was the prize?
The prize was a t-shirt.
A t-shirt of PopChase, I imagine,
right? PopChase, yes.
Oh, okay. And then where did you, how did you promote that, the contest?
On Twitter. We have a good following on Twitter, on Facebook. And if it's fun, and the Grumo videos are fun, right, and you make it already a little bit like a game as a contest to watch it, then people start sharing it and saying, oh, by the way, I guessed who the Nobel Prize winner is. They send it to their lab mate, to their coworker, to their friend, saying,
yeah, I see. So everybody participates on the contest.
The contest part of it helps to get the video forward.
So, quick question. Actually, this is great to know, because it's some advice that we could give to our future clients. Do a contest, and it's worked well in the past. But in terms of, did you use some platform to run the contest, or you just got emails sent to your, and then you decided who was the winner?
Oh, it was just email me. Yeah.
Just email me with the answer, and we'll pick a winner, right? Okay, okay.
No. So everybody who guesses it gets a t-shirt.
Oh, everybody that guesses right gets a t-shirt. Well, that could run through your funding if everybody gets it right.
The trick is, you're thinking, oh, we should limit it to 200 t-shirts, right?
Yeah.
Your problem is not 200 people guessing it right and 20,000 people watching the video. Your problem is getting anybody to watch it. So don't worry about too many prizes. Worry more about how to get the eyeballs.
The right eyeballs in the... But okay. Well, that's good to know. Well, Lenny, I won't take more of your time. This has been really interesting. It's the first interview I've done for this startup series for Grumo, where we get to find out more about the stories from some of our past clients. And I think hopefully some of this information is useful for future entrepreneurs. And anyways, thanks a lot for your time, and much success with PopChase.
Thank you. This was fun.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye. We make the boring fun, the dull colorful, the complex simple, the scary friendly. Life is too short for long words, so we remove the fluff, get to the point, and share what makes you special. Grumo, awesome demo video.